Today I'm going to introduce you to EdPuzzle. EdPuzzle is a web-based interactive video and formative assessment tool that lets you crop existing online videos and add content to target specific learning objectives. Have you ever been doing a training and you're watching a video and there's a question embedded and the video will stop and you have to answer the question before you can proceed with the video? Well, that's one of the things that EdPuzzle can do. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it in your classroom. You can use it as a pre-teaching. You could maybe pair videos with text in your content area where students need scaffolding or supports. It has a voiceover feature where you can add your voice to the video to read aloud, to support struggling readers, to introduce vocabulary words along the way. For math, you could record a video and then have the students stop and do a quick practice question. You could flip your classroom. You could let students create this as a video lesson. Then they could have their peers complete it. And then you as a teacher could then go over and go more in depth to what the students have done. So there's lots of different things that you can use EdPuzzle with in your classroom. So when you first get here, you're going to sign up. You're going to sign up as a teacher. My suggestion is for you to connect with Google and choose your Google account. Now, because I already have an account, it's kicked me straight in. It's going to ask you a couple of questions. One of them will be your school. You want to put your school there because it will allow you to see content that other teachers in your school are using and have created. So when it kicks you into your My Classes page. Notice I have a class already called Test Class, and I'll show you about classes in a minute. I want to get to the content because here's the base of EdPuzzle. So if you'll notice on the left, you have curriculum. They have made curriculum and kind of videos and stuff straight to your content area. So for high school, I could view content, and let's say that I'm a science teacher. And let's say that I teach chemistry, and we're learning about matter and change. So here are some different things about matter and change. So here's a video on classification of matter. What is density? So I could take this video, classification of matter, I could edit it, I can watch it, or I could copy it. We always want to watch our videos before we push them out to our class. You'll notice that these in the content area have already got questions embedded in them. So if I go through here, it's going to tell me about some stuff, and it's going to take me through to their questions. Now, it's not forcing me to stop. It's letting me run my video on without answering the questions. When you assign it to your students, you can force them to answer before they stop. So see, like, here's the question. They answer it true or false. They submit, and then they can continue watching the video. You can also click on your school. You can see how many teachers in your school are using EdPuzzle, signed up to use EdPuzzle, and you can see things that they've done. And my content are videos that you have done. You can also look at other popular channels such as YouTube, Khan Academy, Vimeo, TED Talks, those kinds of things, and get videos. So I know a lot of us use videos off of YouTube. So let's say that I want to, well, I won't even go with density. I'll go with properties of matter. So here is properties of matter, 6 minutes, 14 seconds. So we always want to watch the video before we assign it to our kids to see how we like it. But I am going to just go in and edit it. We're going to pretend that I've already looked at this video. It's perfectly fine for me to show my kids, and I only need the first 4 minutes of the video. So now that I'm in edit mode, I have these 4 options at the top: crop, voiceover, audio notes, and quizzes. So I can crop it down to where I just need the first 4 minutes. I could maybe cut out part of the beginning, end, middle, wherever I want to crop it. So I've cropped it down to be 4 minutes. I can add a voiceover. The problem with the voiceover is that you have to record audio over the whole video in order to save it. So I would have to press the record button, and instead of hearing the guy talk, I could be explaining things as a teacher. Now, obviously, this might not be the best video to do that, but I could crop this introduction part, and I could do my voiceover once the video starts playing. I'm going to go ahead and pause it because I'm not going to talk for 4 solid minutes and make y'all listen to me. So here, if you've made a mistake, you can reset the whole recording, or you could remove the last recording. So you do have those 2 options. I'm going to go to audio notes, and it's going to throw a warning up to me that I'm going to lose my video because I didn't record over the whole 4 minutes, and that's okay. So now I'm in audio notes. Audio notes lets you stop the video and add a question. So maybe I'm going through here and I want to ask them, or I want to talk about the properties of matter. So if at this point I want to add something to the video, I could click the record button here, and it's going to record what I'm saying. I'm going to talk about the properties of matter, and I'm going to press stop. So now I have a voice note. Maybe I want to keep going, and I want to add another voice note. Click on the microphone. I can talk about physical properties can be observed without changing the matter into something new. I could take this back to something I've talked about earlier in the lesson, something maybe I've lectured over that students have read, or maybe even talk about that this is something you're going to see in the experiment that we're going to do today. And now, as students go through the video, when it gets to these, I'm going to stop and they're going to hear my audio note. Now to the formative assessment piece. So we can add quizzes during our video. So I can go back to any point in the video and add a question. So maybe I'm going to ask a question here. There are 3 types of questions that we can ask. We can ask an open-ended question, we can ask a multiple choice question, or we can just type a text comment. It's not really a question, but it's a comment. So maybe I want to ask an open-ended question. What type of fruit is the man holding in the video? There I have a question. So when students get to that, they're going to have to answer that question. Now I can just move the question at the top. I can make another question, maybe a multiple choice question. What will we learn? Here I can put my answer. Types of properties. Types of bananas. So notice I can choose which answers are right and which answers are wrong. You can have multiple right answers. So you can save that. So you see that it has embedded another question here. So when I finish, I would just click Finish. Here's where I can add my start date. I can add a due date. So I could do this to start now. I could do it to start sometime in the future. Maybe we're going to do it next week. If I already have my classes established, I can choose which class to assign it to. And here's the most important thing. I want to prevent skipping. I don't want students to be able to just sit and run the video and then answer questions at the end. Maybe I put a whole quiz at the end. I don't want that to happen. So I want to make sure that this green bar is checked. Assign it to my test class, and I'm going to click Assign. So now I can see it in my test class. I could see my students if I had students, and then I could see here are my questions that I've asked. I would be able to see how many got the questions right. So if I want to add students to my classes, I can click on My Classes, and I can add a new class, or I can import from Google Classroom. If you import from Google Classroom, it's going to bring up all the classes that you have in your Google Classroom. If you click on one of your classes, so I'll click on my high school digital learning class and import that class, So you'll notice that my high school digital learning class is imported from Google Classroom. And if you will notice, here are all of my students that are in my high school digital learning class. So really easy to import from Classroom. If you go to a class that you have not imported from Google Classroom, you'll have invite students and class options here. You can invite students, they can add a class code, they can go through and they can sign up for a student account and add this class code. You could push out a web link to them, or you could share it on Google Classroom, but in my opinion, if you're going to share it on Google Classroom, you might as well just import from Classroom. There are also some class options here that you can edit the class name, connect with Google Classroom, or you can delete the class. The gradebook is going to show you your students and their assignments. So there are no grades during this range of data because I haven't had anyone do mine, but you would have information here on the gradebook. So you can use this as a true formative assessment, and you will get a score that you can take and put in your gradebook for this. So remember, content is where you add your videos. You can also, I didn't tell you, you can also add content here. You can create a video, upload a video, or give a student project, or make new folders here. Gradebook is going to be where you're going to be able to see the grades for the assessments you've done, and your classes are your individual classes with their assignments that they've done and the students that are in those classes. If you have any questions about EdPuzzle, please reach out to your digital learning specialist and we will be happy to help you.